Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening.
I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, what are we talking about this week?
We're talking. I'm going to take a deep breath here.
All right.
We are talking The Mandalorian, episode 7 of season 2, which is chapter 15. Episode is called The Believer.
Well, that was a mouthful. Speaking of mouthfuls, have you noticed a smoother, rounder, fuller sound coming from my end?
It is. Normally, you would sound like a sparkling Beaujolais, but here you sound like a deep, rich port or a brandy, something you would swirl in a snifter.
That's a great. You should describe everything. A Beaujolais. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds amazing. And I finally invested in an external microphone.
Nice.
And we'll see if this sounds good or not. I'm not using headphones. I should get some headphones and use those.
Yeah, headphones are good. I think our previous setup of 2 tin cans and a string with an old Panasonic tape recorder was a good start, but now we've kind of advanced.
Yeah, screaming outside a window was a good one. Then we would sit huddled in Joseph's bathroom. That was also a good one.
Yep.
We tried, we've really evolved since then,
Oh, yeah.
So, now that I'm into the podcast world, we've doing this for over a year now.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years at this point.
That's true.
Weird. And I think we have like 5 Patreon members.
Yeah,
so
honestly,
awesome.
I mean, like if you blink, we might have 6. It's like really, it's taken off. So
we're just blowing up. I mean, if you're listening, like you could become the 6th Patreon member right now.
Absolutely.
And you have a better reason to do it because I have a microphone that is a round microphone. It is actually round. I don't want to.
It's like a little BB-8.
It is. Like I'm speaking into a BB-8, which is perfect because we're talking about a Star Wars thing.
Yes.
Speaking of BB-8s, they did some Disney investors like. What the hell it's called? Was it Disney's investor?
Is this D23? Is that what
they don't know. I always thought D23 was earlier in the year, but I feel like with COVID, everything got messed up.
I don't know.
It was like D23 would be like at a big event, like a convention almost, and they would have like people there.
What was Eminem's band where he was like, was that D12?
Eminem?
Yeah, didn't Eminem have
Marshall Mathers?
Yeah, he had a band in Detroit and it was called like D12 or something. It was like his harder edged hip hop, I believe.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think this was the Disney investor thing because they talked a lot about some new Marvel shows, but more.
You can talk about Marvel, but we contractually cannot because this is a Star Wars episode.
Right.
We made a contract with Grogu, formerly Baby Yoda.
Yep.
And we made a deal with them. YSGOAT. We get nothing.
Right. Well, they pay us in Grogu coin, which is not recognized by any exchange.
Yeah, you can't even use it to assassinate someone.
No, it's
kidnap
terrible.
Your own Grogu.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I tried, as I usually do. I get on the dark web with one of those Tor browsers, and I try to buy the the deep fake Funko Pops and methamphetamine with my Grogu coin.
You can't have Funko Pops without methamphetamines.
Right.
One does not go without the other.
No one will sell me anything with my Grogu coin. So
I tried getting myself some Cisco the other day at the local Cisco hut by the house. They just sell Cisco. I guess they also sell old Cisco CDs, which I don't know. I guess it makes sense at the Cisco hut. They have a new music section, but it's just Cisco. You could get all the drinks you want from the well-known brand Cisco. So let's talk about So everyone, I watched a couple of people online and stuff, and everyone was like, I love it. It's like everyone complains all the time about everything. So it's like, oh my God, there's so much stuff here. Like Disney's announcing all these things. And I'm like, okay, it may seem like a lot, but the thing is, none of this stuff is coming out for like 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
They have like 10 things listed, but like half this stuff we will not see until like the middle of the 2020s. Like it'll be like 2025, and we'll still be waiting on some of these things, I bet. Maybe like, okay, so they didn't mention anything about Mandalorian season 3. I think they want to keep that a secret, whatever they plan on doing with it's season.
Yeah.
The end of season 2. We're about to talk about episode 7. There's only one more episode after that. But let's just talk about them. Okay, well, they do have the Mandalorian logo.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to assume that they're going to have a season 3 of that.
So they have 2 spin-offs coming out. Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this, basically, like the one episode that focused on Grief and Cara Dune.
Yeah.
And it was back on Navarro. I think that's the planet.
I think so.
Episode 4?
I believe so.
Yeah, that was this episode. There was like almost kind of like how they focused on just them in some scenes, and then the Rangers showed up. I guess that's what they're called. The X-Wing pilots that showed up there, they're not rebels anymore, but they're like space cops. But I guess they're Rangers of the New Republic. Right. That's the show they announced. So I'm assuming that Cara Dune will be part of that.
That would make sense if she doesn't get too awful in the intro.
Did you see that meme? I sent that. We posted on the YSGOAT. The Kathleen Kennedy presents in their show.
Well, honestly, like
Gina Carano's tweets.
They could introduce the character of Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, and you could have other characters like that. It's not like Cara Dune has really solidified a persona on that show. I mean, she's a
badass. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and you could easily replace her with that Fennec Shand. If you could have her like go good or whatever.
I think she's gone good since she's kind of working with Boba, and Boba's working with Mando. And if you're working together, if you're going by wrestling rules,
true.
And that means they are now baby faces.
Yeah.
Okay. The other spinoff we knew would come out of it was Ahsoka.
Yes. Yeah.
That episode, which was awesome, and introduced Rosie. What was her name?
Oh, geez.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Ahsoka. The episode was probably the best episode of the season, right?
I would say so. It was
one
great.
of the best episodes of the series in general.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the best. I mean, there's other ones that are just as good, but like, man, that hit a lot of small little details, and it brought the Jedi back. So yeah, it's probably the best.
Yeah. So then on top of that, let's see. So expect that. Andor is one that they've been talking about for a while. That's the character from Rogue One.
Yes.
I mean, I've never been excited about it, but they showed they had like behind the scene footage of it and some images. It's kind of cool, like the way they come up with their storyboards is kind of like, when you stick around for the end of the Mandalorian and the credits, they kind of give you like the storyboards, and they're like slightly animated, like where the water moves, and those things are awesome. So they kind of displayed those. They showed all behind the scenes stuff. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it'll make this character who he was fine in Rogue One. I just found the show to be the movie was boring.
If you told me though that I was going to enjoy The Mandalorian as much as I do, I would have been a little surprised, because the way it was sold originally is like, here's a Mandalorian, but he's not Boba Fett, and he goes off and has adventures, and that didn't sound like terribly promising, but it's turned out to be amazing. So
you know why it worked, right?
Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Well, but I would say it probably would not have been as awesome without Baby Yoda, but I would say I'd still find it to be pretty great,
It's more like, I think it's just it gave the show direction. So
yes.
We'll get into that, because this episode was lacking somebody.
Save
that for the episode. We'll talk about it. Another series that they've been talking about that's not new, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
They were supposed to work on this. I don't know, they didn't like the script, they're rewriting it, but I guess it is actually going to finally film. It was supposed to film like last summer. or I guess this summer, or
Right.
this past summer already. I think coronavirus kind of ruined all that anyway, so it's probably best that it gave him the opportunity to rewrite it anyway. They announced Hayden Christensen's going to come back as Anakin. Now, I'm wondering how that's going to be. Is it going to be done through flashbacks, or, you know, is he going to be in the suit as well? It's supposed to be 10 years before the first Star Wars movie, so in between Revenge of the Sith and whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah. My guess is that they'll have him out of the helmet enough. You know, I mean, like maybe his body hadn't deteriorated enough.
Lumpy head Hayden. That's what I was looking for. You know, it's like I was watching. Me and the wife were watching RoboCop a couple weeks ago. She never saw it. And my son came down and watched the some parts, and I said, wait for it is the scene you get to see Puddinghead, and he takes off his helmet. Remember, it's like it's like it was just so kind of off-putting a little bit.
Yeah,
off-putting. And and the thing is, you know, with this microphone, you know, you'll be able to hear these zingers even more clearly.
Before,
right? I mean,
in real life HD.
Yeah. I'm curious how they're gonna do that. I'm assuming if they got Hayden Christensen back for it, there's gonna be flashbacks, maybe scenes from the Clone Wars, and I don't know what to expect from it. You know, they were like these people assuming that they're gonna fight. I kind of hope that it's just flashbacks and not like I don't really want. I mean, maybe if he runs into him in some way, or like Darth Vader senses him, but like it kind of throws off the dynamic. Like, Obi-Wan's clearly hiding for 18 years from him. And I mean, obviously 18 years is a decent amount of time, and found them run into each other one time. But, you know, I mean, if you go by you want to be really with the lines when he says, like, I felt the presence, I haven't felt it. And, you know, I don't know how they'll do it. You know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Hit in the head and they forget. That'd be the worst.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. I mean, it's not like they're just going to wing it. You know, I mean, I'm sure they have a reasonably sound plan, but they are kind of building a mythology that hems you in places, you know.
The Bad Batch is a Clone Wars. It's a, what do you call it? Spin-off from the Clone Wars.
Right.
It was the first 4 episodes of the last season. Clone Wars focused on the Bad Batch, and they're kind of like they're almost like they're mutant versions of clones.
Yeah.
So it's like, and when I watched it, I was like, it's basically the Ninja Turtles. Like there's like the really smart one who's Donatello, the big one, angry big one's Raph, the other guy's Leo. There's like the party dude eats pizza.
Right.
We'll have shells. They have a rat for a teacher. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
now is Corey Feldman in this one, or has he been signed for
I love being a turtle. He was in the first movie. He was just the voice of a turtle.
Okay. But he's not in the Bad Batch.
No.
Have you checked?
I think he is part of the Bad Batch.
That would be
what?
That would be great. I would welcome Corey Feldman.
In the credit, they had some footage from it. I don't know if you saw it.
I have not actually.
It looked, if you thought season 7, I guess, of the Clone Wars, I think it was season 7.
Yeah.
If you thought that looked good, this looks even better.
Okay.
It's animated still, but it looks really good. And Fennec is in it, a younger Fennec.
Oh, sweet.
So you get to see. I'm assuming it's her because there's a woman who kind of looks like her wearing the same helmet.
Yeah, that helmet is kind of like that's her. So yeah.
So the other one's Star Wars Visions. This is supposedly an anime series. I don't know if it's like a series of shorts or if it's like different stories, but supposedly it's anime. So
yeah.
And then Lando, they were talking about this. They're supposedly getting back. What's that guy's name?
Billy D. Williams.
No, not the guy who played him in Solo.
Okay. I didn't realize this. I thought okay, so it's going to be the guy who's the Childish Gambino.
Donald Glover.
Yeah. I just assumed it was
No, I don't think they're going to make it about an 5-year-old man.
Well, I thought it was a
Maybe he's
miniseries. I thought it was a miniseries, not
Yeah.
a series. And I don't know. I guess I just assumed it would be
I'm
Billy D.
assuming it's
Williams.
I'm assuming it's only going to be one season. I mean, unless it does really well and they're able to get him, the Tom Glover, to come back.
Yeah.
Supposedly he's going to be in it. Again, people assuming that like it'll be Billy D. Williams in the beginning talking about his adventures. Maybe he'll like cap off the first and last episode, you know, like one of those things. Maybe they'll rip off like a Princess Bride, you know.
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams is grandpa and he's visiting.
Reading stories to his kid on the kid's homesick from school, space school.
And Lando, that'd be cool. I'll just rip off, you know, fuck it, just rip it off, you know.
Right.
Star Wars: The Acolyte. I don't know much about this. This seems supposed to be a series that takes place in the past.
Right.
And I forgot the woman they got to make it. It was a big deal when they
announced it. Leslie Headland. She did she was involved in Russian Doll.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So supposedly this series is going to take place like during the Old Republic with like after the defeat of the Sith or the return of the Sith, but it's supposed to be prequel, like hundreds of years. Supposedly this is going to have hot teenage Yoda.
Nice. Thick Yoda.
Hot. Stress the word hot teenage Yoda.
Sure.
You know, just.
Well, and then didn't they get Patty Jenkins?
What did he say? Handy will talk to. What other things? This
little catchphrases.
Yeah, what's his other like?
Felicia, fare thee well, or something.
Felicia, you will buy.
Yeah, it'll be a sassy Yoda for the new millennium.
Yeah, he sounds like that guy. What's his name? Perez Hilton.
Oh, jeez.
Nice. That would be terrible.
Well, they also didn't they get Patty Jenkins to
fashion critic I used to be
to do a new movie for them? Like, aren't they doing like a Rogue Squadron? Isn't that?
Yeah, they announced that. But the other, before I get to, there's a thing called A Droid Story.
Oh yeah,
another cartoon. I don't know what this is.
I'll bet you that's sad. It's a C-3PO vehicle.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. It's
why is it sad?
It just looks sad because C-3PO is sad. He's like Eeyore.
They show
Well, I'm looking at the USA Today, and it says there's no Star Wars story without droids, and two of the most well-known return to the canon in A Droid Story. The animated series will follow R2-D2 and C-3PO as they meet and guide a new hero.
I hope the hero is Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
They got to work Baby Yoda into all these series.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That just looks sad to me. For some
Why does
reason.
it look sad? That's so weird. It's gonna be funny.
A sad character.
No, he's not. How is he sad?
He's
annoying.
Sad. He's
in
like
what way?
Forlorn, and he's like the Eeyore of Star Wars.
I wouldn't say he's sad. He's more annoying.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I guess that could be somewhat the same in some ways. Debbie Downer. The last one, well, there's another one, but they didn't have any art for it. But the last one's Rogue Squadron. That's going to be a movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be directed by Patty Jenkins of Wonder Woman. So that's cool. That's
yeah.
Again, I don't know when that's coming out. That might be 2024.
Well, this says Christmas 2023. I'm looking at the USA Today's list.
Oh, so. I'm just looking at the image. And I mean, that's a long time from now.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's just a one-off, which is, well, that'd be good. Maybe you could tell like a good movie, not a trilogy. I think that was like my problem with Solo was it felt like a pilot and not
right.
You know, it's like that's a problem with a lot of these movies they make. It's not just Star Wars, but any of these movies that they're trying to sell it as a series. The first movie just comes off like a pilot because they don't like. They have like maybe like a minor little conflict in the end, but it's like it's all just set up for the next movie, and it'd be nice to have like one-off, a true one-off.
Yeah,
and they, that's kind of what they promised in the beginning with in Rogue Squadron, but it was just really like just tie into the first Star Wars movie, and Solo was really meant to like launch a trilogy, I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it did have that feel.
And hopefully this one is just, it is what they planned on really doing, which is just making a movie. And then there's a Tiki, is that how you say his name?
Jeez, I can never say this guy's name correctly. Taika Waititi.
Yeah. There's his movie. They don't have any art on it or anything. They said it's going to be weird. It's going to be crazy. The guy who plays, or I guess his name is Jermaine, supposedly, the guy from Flight of the Conchords. When Taika Waititi tweeted, of course, he pretended to act like he didn't know he was making a movie.
Right.
Because he's a wacky, funny guy.
He is.
And when he announced that he was making the movie, Jermaine tweeted, and usually, here's the thing, blue check mark people don't normally just tweet at each other for no reason.
Right, yeah. It's like a coordinated
Hollywood or actor.
Hollyweird, yeah.
Hollyweird. So I'm going to assume that Jermaine Clement will be in a Star Wars movie. I'm kind of hoping that there is a space Flight of the Conchords movie.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of cool if it does focus on the Jizz Band. I would love that's what they're called. Ironically, the things that have vagina faces.
Yeah.
In, the first Star Wars movie, the Modal Nodes, that's their name.
Oh, yeah.
And they're a Jizz Band.
Right.
And it's giggles around. They have tit mouses and tit birds.
Yeah.
And everyone's giggling nonstop.
Nice noodles.
Nice noodles and Max Reba. It'd be kind of cool if they focused on the band.
Right.
I'm like kind of hoping that.
That would be, I'd watch that.
I would watch any of that. And then like all these people were like complaining, but like, so you saw the USA Today thing. Did they have actual dates for any of these except for that Rogue Squadron movie?
A few.
Like the Andor series, I don't think comes out till 2022.
Yeah, let's see. The Acolyte, they don't have a date.
That could be
Lando.
Like 3 years now.
Okay, in 2021, Star Wars will release. They'll have Visions out, 10 animated short films, and honestly, Visions to me looks like Love, Death, and Robots. Like
and I hope it's just as pornographic. Okay,
yeah. And let's see. No, Andor should release in 2022.
Bad Batch, is that going to be in 2021?
They don't have a date for that. Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to start filming in 2021.
Yeah, early 2021.
Yeah. So let's see. So all new Star Wars series will start streaming on Disney Plus. Some will premiere in 2021, while others will premiere in 2022, 2023. So
yeah, like with all these announcements being made, and we don't even know if Mandalorian 3 is going to be out next year.
Right.
I mean, just like I said, all these people are like, oh, Disney's just berating us with products. Like, dude, none of this shit's going to be out for like a long time.
Yeah.
Like, there might be Visions is going to be like, watch this, next year they'll be like, it'll just be Visions, and then maybe they'll squeeze out one of these things. And then you'll hear all these people bitching out, there's like no new real Star Wars content.
Well, this to me seems like,
especially if there is no Mando next season.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, but it seems like they've kind of borrowed a page from Marvel, which is super smart in that, like, look, if we're creating series that kind of rely on each other and rely on a story, like an established story with a canon, then we gotta fucking map this shit out for a few years.
And also these things take time. The quality of Mandalorian, the first 2 seasons, if they're sticking to that quality, and from what I saw what Andor is going to look like when they were talking about, they said, listen, we're treating the show that they showed like the sets with the aliens, like they got like more, it looks like they got like fuller sets on this series than what Mandalorian has. And it looks like it's going to be a much bigger show. And they're like, it's like they're making these movies. And honestly, I'm like, I'd be happy if Star Wars just remained a Disney Plus product that was a TV show. I have no problem with that. As much as I want to see a Star Wars in the theater, I kind of enjoy. I feel like I get to enjoy the show more.
Yeah,
it's like movies are just like they're good, but we've already had enough Star Wars movies. Like, I feel like I wouldn't mind it. Like, until they have like a really good reason, like maybe Rogue Squadron would be cool. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that interested in that stuff. I never really cared for like the pilots and stuff. Like the Rogue Squadron video game, yeah, it's cool. I remember it was like popular and stuff, but I was always about like the lightsaber shit and like the bounty hunters and like the more. I mean, I do appreciate the space battles and stuff, but that's never been my favorite part of the movie.
Right.
Like, I'll say that I did enjoy the space battle in Rogue One, which is funny because I don't like Rogue One as a movie, but I do like that space battle a lot.
Yeah, I would say they could make a Rogue One story and not really have it focus on the flying.
You're about Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, I'm sorry, a Rogue Squadron. They could like it could mostly be think of it like Grey's Anatomy. You know, they're not always in surgery and shit. You know, they're like
I want the Rogue Squadron. You know, drive golf carts.
Yes, right. You know, they fight, they make up. It's
like when they do superhero shows and they hardly have the characters in their costumes. Yeah, that's what I'm there for. I'm in there for their just regular, everyday human clothes. I'm not there for the costume.
I want a Peter Parker series where he just takes photographs.
Yeah,
you know, he's like
birds, not even Spider-Man.
Trying to figure out like if he should use the f-stop or like what exposure.
Shutter speed and and then the best part is when he goes into the developing room.
Right. And it's pitch black.
When he comes up with new techniques and tricks.
Yes.
And that's when his spider senses really go wild.
Right.
And I'm glad that, you know, I think that's really what I wanted to focus on. That's the content I crave.
He gets
not being boredom.
He gets like a little a tingling that maybe someone's robbing a bank, but he can't open the door and he exposed the film. So he has
exactly. Yeah. It's like, not now. I need more minutes to expose this photo. Or J. Jonah Jameson will have this.
Right.
So, did you ever play the video game Shenmue?
Yeah.
The one for Dreamcast? Do you remember it?
Yeah. They
did release it on an Xbox.
I was going to say, I have it. Was that one of the ones that was included in like Rare Replay or something?
I don't know. I got it for Dreamcast. It was like the most expensive game ever made at the time.
I had like Virtua Tennis for Dreamcast, and was Echo the Dolphin a Dreamcast?
It was Genesis, but I think they might have made a Dreamcast for it.
Well, whatever. Yeah. So
Shenmue was a game where you like had to work and do all these monotonous things, and like people like, I don't know. That's why I just brought that up as like a reference. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm excited. I don't care. Like Rogue Squadron, it might surprise me. It might be like an awesome movie, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll like. It's just never been like the elements that drove me to Star Wars. Like, I like it, it's cool, but I don't. And it's not, again, I'm not trying to like take that away, but that's, you know, it's like Star Wars. Everyone's got what they like.
Yeah,
you know, I like the scene in the diner with the alien that picks his ass. Those are the scenes that I like in Star Wars. There's people who like great space battles,
right?
But I like aliens that fart and pick their own ass. That's what I'm there for.
Well, yeah, I would say that I am in a perfect world. The Rogue Squadron type of stuff will be more like Battlestar Galactica. I could see it working out real well.
It is rip off Battlestar Galactica.
Well, honestly, like here's the thing,
which was a rip off of Star Wars.
I see, and when we start talking about the episode tonight, I would say the Mandalorian does super well at basically paying homage to Westerns.
Well, the thing about the Mandalorian, again, and that's why I was excited about, to a point, even though I didn't know what to expect, was that it focused on bounty hunters and like the seedy part of Star Wars. And that's stuff I like, on top of the ass-picking aliens.
Yeah.
I also even like Mandalorian more because they introduced the Baby Yoda. So there's elements of the Force, which again is a big part of Star Wars. Rogue Squadron, again, I don't know what to expect. Now, if it is really just a movie vehicle for Jet Porkins, starring Jack Black, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in there day one. Like, Jack Black as Jack Porkins. I mean, cast him or get him and that other guy from Tenacious D. And they
Kyle Gass, yeah.
They could be the Jet Porkins and his brother Chuck Porkins.
Right. And what about Gadsden, the guy who played Olaf? He could also be in it.
He's lost a lot of. Well, you know what? They all fluctuate in weight, so I'm not trying to make like a.
Well, no, I was saying he's like a Jack Black-esque type of actor.
Yeah, if you can't get him, I think Disney might own him.
Oh yeah.
At this point, so
they have him come in as
but
Olaf.
I don't see him as Jet Porkins. He's not a. No, he doesn't look like that. Jack Black, I could see playing the legendary character of Jet Porkins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The guy from.
Oh yeah, Porkins in the
New
Hope. Yeah.
One of the best parts of that movie is the fact that there was a fat dude named Jet Porkins. And it's pretty amazing. The actor, actually, I've seen him in other things. He was in the first Indiana Jones. He's in these guys you've seen in lots of movies, but I think he passed away recently. He said, like, in some interview that when he saw the script that he was hired to play Jet Porkins, and he knew it was a space alien movie, he was scared that they were going to put a piggy nose on him. And we've talked about this, I think, on the podcast before.
I remember this.
But now that I have this new mic, I can see my jokes again because I hear it in a more rounder, fuller, as whatever Joseph described earlier.
Yeah.
That would have been the death of Star Wars. If they were all going to roll call all the pilots.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there's a fat dude in a piggy nose. People would have just lost their shit and laughed their ass off. Like, it's something you could get away with like now in Star Wars, but not the going out the door. And I appreciate that. I'm sure there was like a lot of restraint there. Like, they named him Jet Porkins. I imagine Lucas was probably like, that was what I envisioned, a piggy man, a swine man. And so I give them, kudos on their restraint to not do that,
Right.
You
not often known for their restraint in character, like when they had the Mon Calamari essentially be, a plate of seafood.
To think of the seafood aliens, delicious seafood aliens. When they were going over like the dailies or most of these movies, it's more like the animatics because they're like 90% CGI. Yeah. But like when they talk about Attack of the Clones and they were going over the animatics for the diner scene, and Lucas was like flipped out because they left out the scene where the alien with 4 arms didn't pick his ass with the 1 arm while he was talking to Obi-Wan. Right, It was in the script. What is wrong with you people? I'm George Lucas. I'm a man and alien that picks his own ass.
It was 3 pages of the script.
Why do you think I gave him 4 arms?
With actual blocking.
This is comedy gold in your throat. And that's what happened. So they had to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
Now, and the thing is, they had the technology to do that. And I bet you, if Star Wars was made today, they would have filled the scene with Jack Porkins. And George Lucas would have made them have to go back and add a CGI piggy nose on him.
Probably.
Because he can do that now.
Yeah.
So the 70s restraints is why we have Star Wars.
Right. Well, I could see.
Let's just go into the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I could see, just like the Mandalorian is essentially a Western, some of these shows could essentially be like, well, this is a World War II show, or this is a this is a more of a kung fu type of show. Like, they're all gonna have their own little vibe. I see them, just because Star Wars was pretty derivative of a lot of things. I see these shows kind of taking that to the next level. The episode we're going to talk about tonight of The Mandalorian.
Well, wait, before you get to that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that these are all derivatives. So that means Rogue Squadron is probably going to be very derivative of Top Gun, which means we're going to get a space beach volleyball scene.
Nice. Spaceballs.
All right.
Well,
so this episode of Mandalorian, sorry, we took a while to get to this point.
Episode 7 of season 2, which is chapter 15, called The Believer.
The Believer.
Yeah, which is a weird title because, like, you could look at it a bunch of different ways because, like, obviously, like, the Mandalorian, he's a believer in that Mandalore religion or that creed. but then it was also kind of interesting because we saw Miggs, the sharpshooter they said they were going to bust out last week.
Played by Bill Burr.
Yeah. He was a believer. Ostensibly, he was like a believer in the Empire, and he is decidedly less so these days. So, but anyway.
And there's also scenes with like an Imperial officer.
Yep.
Well, and I think just like when we talk about like the titles, the titles have like a theme that kind of works with the whole episode, and this episode also, spoilers for the episode, you get to see Mando or DiGiorno. DiGiorno, that's his name.
DiGiorno.
Very strange. They went with that tie-in. I'm glad they didn't go with Costino's Pizza Rolls as the name of the Mandalorian characters. So good restraint on their part. Hot Pockets. His name is Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
So you get to see his face and everything. And again, it's like he's got to do whatever he's got to do to save his kid, baby Grogu, or baby Yoda / Grogu. So there's a scene where you get to see him a lot out of his mask. And it's kind of weird because you're so used to him seeing him in the costume.
Yeah.
He wasn't as sweaty this time. Like he wasn't.
Right.
He did like a laser to the head when you saw him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like dying, and that's when the robot saved him.
It's a weird. And this really bothered me. We saw the Mandalorian with his helmet off for probably like a good 30-40 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And he has a mustache.
Yeah, and a little tiny scroof on his chin.
Why would you have decorative facial hair if your whole shtick is to wear a helmet all the time?
What if he's like one of those like preteen kids that like try to grow facial hair?
He can't.
And they can't, so this is why he won't shave it.
It just seems like if you're gonna wear a helmet all the time, you just like shave it all.
You got like a shit ton of like just unkept like.
Yeah, or you're not shaving that often because like.
Yeah, it is a little weird that he would have a more manicured.
Yeah.
Like a chosen spot of facial hair, like like mustache, and I want to have like a little flavor saver
or something,
a little soul patch, and like for a man who's in a helmet, like probably if you were going to say how many hours in a week,
like almost all of them, he's in the helmet.
Yeah, like I think he might even sleep in it.
Probably,
I guess. I mean, I don't know why, because like, what does it matter if Baby Yoda sees his mask off? What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna tell people with his little baby squeaks? I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, but it's like he met actual Mandalorians though this season that don't wear a mask.
Right.
So
they just take
that's probably why he's like, maybe I could be a little looser with the mask being off. Yeah. And also, if they want to keep this actor on the show,
they're gonna have to let him. Yeah,
they should at least let him once in a while take the mask off. I mean, I don't think it should be like willy-nilly. Like I was like sequel, like movies. Here's a good example, like Marvel Iron Man series, like Iron Man 1. Well, he's building the costume, but you get Tony Stark's costume. And you're paying for Robert Downey Jr. And then Iron Man 2 comes out, Robert Downey Jr. gets a little more expensive, but they still have him a lot in the costume. But by the time Iron Man 3 came out, he's never in the costume, ever. They found a way to make the costume like radio control, so you could have Iron Man 3. And at the same time, they're like, listen, we're paying this motherfucker like $35 million to do this movie. You're getting Robert Downey Jr.
Even when he's in the costume, they do close-ups of his face within the helmet.
Do that. But they do the weird close-up thing. No, I mean, like Iron Man 3, he's like hardly ever in the actual costume. It's like,
that's funny.
And so that's probably going to be like season 6 of Mandalorian. It's like,
right. He's got a remote control Mandalorian.
He's wearing like Speedos. He's like, he's not even like dressed as a fucking Mandalorian anymore.
Well, this guy's a great actor. I mean, I watched a movie, Pedro Pascal or something.
Yeah,
I watched a movie with him called Prospector. It was on Netflix, I think. It was really good. I mean, it's a quirky kind of low low-ish budget sci-fi
sci-fi
film.
or something.
It's very sci-fi, yeah, but it's like it's weird. It's very slow and deliberate. It's again, it's actually kind of like a Western type of, they're prospecting for space gold. Well, I don't want to talk too much about the movie, but it's honestly, I think I've told you this. Give it 10 minutes. If you like it, stick with it, because it's a lot more of that. It doesn't really shift. You don't wait for things to pick up or change or anything. It's what you see is what you get. I loved it. I thought the whole thing was really good. But anyway, this guy's a great actor.
He's going to be in Wonder Woman 2 also. He's the main bad guy.
Yeah, he's a handsome guy. I mean, like, he's a good actor. I don't know why they wouldn't want to showcase him a little more.
Supposedly, the reason why you didn't really see him with his mask on in season 1 is because when they filmed the show, he wasn't even hired yet. Oh. He did the voice. Yeah, supposedly he came in later. And supposedly this season, he's been the character most of the time.
Okay.
With the mask on. But the reason why you only got seen for a little bit in the last season, because they didn't even supposedly, I could be wrong.
Okay.
So don't get angry, guys. Our faithful listeners.
Sure.
YSGOAT. You could probably Google this. They filmed the majority of the show and he provided the voice, and then later on they eventually revealed his face. And because I do remember them like announcing him, and I thought they were already filming it for a while. And then I don't know, I heard there was some problems, but again, I don't believe like 90% of that bullshit. Yeah. I think it's just like, I don't know, maybe someone didn't give his coffee right or what. I don't know, who knows. So back to the opening. So the plot, you get Bill Burr in this episode. Yes. Spoilers too. There is no Grogu in this episode.
Yeah. This is zero Grogu.
I went in and, we talked about this on the show. My formerly Baby Yoda, well-curated Baby Yoda room.
Right.
That I had to destroy and take apart and rip apart and create a new wood cut, handcrafted, painted, signed Grogu room. I had to make a well-curated Grogu room. And I had to go out and rebuy all the items and drug Grogu on the box.
Right.
Because I could have done that with the old ones, but I got it.
Not the same.
You go in, no half measures. You go in. And now, without the new Baby Yoda of the show is clearly Bill Burr.
Yes.
So I had to go in and destroy my Grogu room.
Yep.
And make a Bill Burr room.
The lovable scam.
I don't know if I'm proud of that one. I think it's a weird direction that they would replace Grogu with Bill Burr.
Yeah.
That's what they did, right?
No. Well,
I'm your new Grogu.
It opens up like this episode opens up with a really cool scene. They basically say, well, he's serving 50 years in the chop fields, some chop fields. And Star Wars always is really good like that. They will mention something, and just the name alone will like get your mind to going. Like back when they mentioned the Clone Wars and A New Hope, they never really touched on it, but you got a real clear sense of like this interesting backstory. Same here when they said, oh, he's in the chop fields. This is kind of what I expected, but it's almost like a post Skynet Terminator wasteland that this guy's toiling away.
It also reminded me of the prison planet from Alien 3.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank God they didn't use the rape goggles like they did in Alien 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, Alien 3 isn't that Fox-owned property.
True.
Because technically, Alien 3 is now a Disney film.
Oh.
And yeah, they own Predator.
Weird, yeah.
Alien. Yeah, it's a Disney film now. Disney, part of the Disney family magic. Right? Alien.
Oh man.
You remember Alien 3 with like the dudes like about to like they're like pinning Ripley down and he's getting all ready and then he puts on like his cool like rape glasses and it was like a Dave Fincher movie. That's like his early movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they didn't have that in
right.
This episode.
That would have been a odd tonal shift.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
but
then, Grogu's not in the episode, so they could be a little more adult oriented.
A little more adult. Yeah. Well, it had like a real forlorn look. I mean, it was very bleak.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a prison. They're like working in the junkyard, and you see somebody said like, well, Bill Burr's character. You got to meet him last season. I think it was episode 6.
6. It was, yeah.
Right.
Because oddly enough, that it was directed by the same guy who directed this episode.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That was a good episode, that one.
Yeah.
That's the one that had the Twi'lek.
Yep.
And the guy, I thought they were, when they announced that Bill Burr was coming back, I figured they were all coming back.
Yeah.
That whole squad. Not the droid because he got killed, but like the guy with the horns played by Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
And then the Twi'lek lady. I figured they would return. I hope they come back in some way just because I thought they were like cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know if like, it's cool they brought him back. And I'm curious, I don't think he's going to be an antagonist if he comes back again, this character.
No.
He's going to be an ally.
Yes.
Maybe he'll show up in the new series called
The Rangers one.
The Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah. I could see him definitely showing up in there,
Yeah. So, and they're like creating a universe with like recurring characters, so it'd be kind of cool. And they said that these characters will cross over into the shows and stuff. Like Mando show up with like Baby Yoda, and it'd be like, Mando could be like, "Whoa, what's going on here? You guys must have some real crazy adventures that you have on your own."
Yeah,
everyone should tune in. Like that Simpsons spinoff. You remember the Simpsons spinoff episode?
Oh,
it was a Simpsons episode where they like made fun of like with the studio wants
like a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, there's 3 backdoor pilots done through the Simpsons. Like one of them was like Chief Wiggum moving to Louisiana as like a with I think Skinner or something as a sidekick. Nice. And like the Simpsons just show up. And they're like, "What are you doing here? Wow, this must be a wacky adventures that you're gonna face every week in this very great background, New Orleans." And like Big Daddy's the bad guy, and it was like so good. The Simpsons.
I need to check that out. Yeah,
and that's kind of like what Mandalorian season 2 has become. It's become a backdoor pilot of lots of shows.
Actually,
I'm not complaining. It's just it's obvious if you.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. It's a good place for them to kind of kick the tires on some of these characters. Some of them were going to go straight to series anyway, but
right. Yeah. Ahsoka was a no-brainer. I mean,
right?
They wouldn't have casted Rosario Dawson, if they weren't going to do some expansion on the character.
And that was a pretty popular character. I mean, all of that just makes sense that would be what they're doing. So they open up and they got to retrieve Migs from this prison planet. And it's pretty bleak. It's kind of patrolled by robots that have shock batons and stuff. And anyway, Cara Dune goes to get him. And he's real skeptical and kind of nervous about it. And he gets even more so when he sees Boba Fett and Fennec Shand get off the Slave One.
Well, he's more nervous about the other guy.
Yeah, but he's like, he thought Boba Fett was the Mandalorian. Yeah, and he's like, I thought you were some other guy. And then,
well, someone brought a good thing. It's like he's a relic of the Empire, and he's kind of working in the junkyard on a relic of the Empire, which was old TIE fighter.
Oh yeah. So,
kind of a cool little symbolism there.
And it's weird because they say, I think it was Fennec Shand. One of them says something to, or maybe Cara Dune, about Bill Burr working for the Empire, and he's like, that was a long time ago. Like, you get the idea that he probably was just a soldier following duties. He's not a great guy or anything, but he's like, look, there's maybe a lot of shit wrong with me, but I'm not like super proud of the time I put into the Empire,
Yeah. And again, showing repurposed goods and things, like you see another, like what looked like another AT-AT that was used.
Yeah.
Created like as a crane to like
right.
out. Kind of like in the episode when they went to whatever that.
Yeah, the Bryce Dallas Howard one.
Yeah. So yeah, and he gets on the ship. Oh, okay. So you get to see Boba Fett, and it's kind of weird. I guess he decided to clean his armor.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was like not used to his armor ever being clean.
Right.
Like his armor's always looked like the way they show him, like especially in Empire, like he's seen some damage. He's got like a dent in the helmet. There's like there's scratches everywhere, lots of little details, wear and tear. And then with seeing him again, where it's like, okay, this thing's got some like, I don't know, Crate Dragon body acid on it. It's got damage. And I guess, I don't know, I guess Boba Fett was so excited to get his armor back. He was like, you know what? I'm going to treat you good, baby. Talking to the armor, kind of like the guy from Full Metal Jacket. Where he killed himself in the drill sergeant. Private Pile. Bubba's like, I'm going to treat you good. I'm going to give you a good spit polish. And I don't know if I liked it. I kind of like Boba Fett's armor looking like shit.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, maybe I could see, you want to get like the stomach acid off of it. That's, right. But it was weird. It took me for a second. I was like, whoa, it's clean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was different.
It's not a big, I'll survive. I will say this, though, I don't like the black cloak, like skirt or whatever the hell that's called.
Right.
Call it tunic or.
Yeah.
I don't like that part combined with Boba Fett's costume.
It seems very disjointed, yeah.
It feels coupled together. Like it's not as bad as like when it was on Timothy Olyphant's character,
right.
Where he's just wearing it over his
regular clothes.
Yeah, and no, this one's like the same thing. It's still like that's not 100% Boba Fett. Like, right. I know he's got to go to the store. He's got to go to the bigger section. He can't wear the same suit pant, like
right,
whatever that was. Put the armor on it because he's gotten a little. He's
a little, yeah.
He's let go a little bit. He's older. It happens.
Well, I would say that I do appreciate the attention to detail they're putting in the costumes and everything.
You get to see the inside. The real inside of Slave One.
Oh yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Moving roto, whatever that thing is. Yeah. Again, I went in. I went to the closet, grabbed out my old Slave One toy, and I flew in front of the TV. And I'm like, I'm the Slave One. Look at me. And my wife's like, we're getting a divorce. I didn't marry this.
She's on the phone. He's doing it again.
I didn't choose this was not part of the deal. You didn't tell me this was you. This is me. I'm the Slave One.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, I watched that when everyone's sleeping.
Yeah, I have to. That's like... the one thing it's like some people center their week around like shame. Yeah. Well, they go get him, they retrieve him, and he's like, well, what's in it for me? And I forget what they said. She says like a better view or something. Like they make it clear like you're not going to get any special reward for coming along. Boba, the Mandalorian says, well, we need you to find these coordinates of Moff Gideon's ship. And then he says it's kind of interesting. He's like, they got the kid, and Miggs is like, oh, like everyone, even like shitty Miggs is kind of like, well, we got to get the kid back, and so then they agree, and then they're off to present day Empire mining facility that's kind of off grid because Miggs needs to tap into a console. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get this cool, one of the great lines in the episode too was that Boba Fett straight up says, well, I can't do it because I have a face that they might remember.
Yeah.
Which at first I was like, well, yeah, it's Boba Fett. And then I was like,
no, it's like every stormtrooper.
Because I don't know. Well, I think at some point.
Yeah.
It was like weird because they did they re-edited supposedly all the stormtroopers in the trilogy to have his voice,
something like that.
But said that they weren't all clones. Eventually, the Empire got actual recruits, and
well, like we saw in the new movies, like you had plenty of different types of stormtroopers.
That was in that line in the beginning when they were like kidnapping kids and turning them into soldiers. They weren't unlike and that's when they were complaining, and that's when Kylo Ren says to the guy, well, I could get the clone army going again if you want. Call my cloner, get him on the phone, and then getting excited. You want some new clones?
No, the Boba Fett line was really funny, and delivered really well. And then Fennec Shand can't do it because she is wanted, right? And anyway, so the Mandalorian is like, well, I'm going to go with you to get this done.
And he changes his costume, so it's like he still keeps his helmet on, but he's not in his Mandalorian outfit anymore. And this is kind of like a cool. So they're in this like vehicle that you probably seen in like episode 3, and then like it showed up. It's just like a cool tank with like lots of big old space tires.
Yeah,
and they're going down this like path, and there's like I know there's like mentionings of different types of movies. It kind of turns to like almost feels like an Indiana Jones scene, or like when like. So they go through like a town first, and that's when like Bill Burr's character is talking about like it doesn't matter, and it almost sounds like it's something Bill Burr would say in a comedy act. Like
it is weird.
Doesn't matter who's leading, and these people they don't know that they don't see, like they don't care who's in power.
Rebels, Alliance, Empire. It doesn't matter
either way. They're gonna suffer either way, and I'm like. I kind of hate that kind of stuff, but I mean there is some truth to that. But this is also a space TV show, so
we
don't need to get all crazy and be like these space politics, these sci-fi politics don't line up with my real world politics. Wow.
Well, it is. It's setting up. It's setting up. Like the theme of this particular episode, where he's introducing the idea that like, look, there's a lot of moral gray area out here, and I think that kind of I think like in that instance, the Mandalorian's like the believer, like there's a right way and a wrong way, and Bill Burr is like, no, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think the show is making us feel one way or the other about it, but these two characters are talking about that, and it's kind of a cool little scene.
Well, I think again, it's like, when you meet Mando and everything. Well, the funny thing is, even in the first season, Mandalorian's like, even though he abides to the Mandalorian code and everything, he's still in a gray area because, like, when he sees the other Mandalorians, that one dude is like the big, like he gets into a fight with him, and he says, like, you're the one that's making us look bad. Being this bounty hunter. We're not bound. Like, we don't do this. And then Mando's like. He tries to justify it by being like, well, I give like half my money to you guys. Like I literally give you everything. Like, and so it's like a gray area. It's like, so he's not even doing that part 100% right. Like, he's not taking his helmet off.
Right.
And he's abiding to the Mandalorian code and all that, or he thinks he is. But even from the beginning, he is a little bit of a hypocrite. Because being this like, bounty hunter, it's kind of funny because, we think we see Boba Fett and everything. And we always think that Mandalorians are bounty hunters, or people would just assume that just because Boba Fett's a bounty hunter,
right?
And not everyone's like a insane nerd that has a well curated, presently now Bill Burr room, which hopefully Baby Grogu doesn't show back because I'm gonna have to restart that.
Another big renovation,
yeah, thousands and thousands of dollars. It's damn you, Mandalorian. So. Right from the beginning, there's always kind of like a little bit of a gray area that Mando kind of is. Yeah. He's not. And then later on, especially with meeting Baby Yoda or Grogu, that's when things start to shift, and especially this season. But now he's starting to see, like he saw Bo-Katan.
Yeah, Bo-Katan cries.
And they're Mandalorians. They're not just like they're the Mandalorians. I mean, they're from the planet. She's part of the lineage of like a leadership.
Yep.
And they take their helmets off. They're like, we do this shit. We don't fuck with cheats,
right. I always thought it's comparable to like how in like if the Mandalorian were in modern day America, he might be like Amish or something, like where he follows a pretty strict and somewhat.
He's turning into a Yemenite.
Yeah, well, something like that. I mean, like
I think they use cars and stuff. That's why. No, seriously, like, they're like close, and they make fun of that. I think in the Weird Al video, the Amish Paradise.
Yeah.
I think they make a reference to Yemenites being like sinners or something.
Jeez.
Because they've used some modern technology. So yeah, like, but he's starting to like change. And this episode, it's like, he's breaking. He can't be so restrictive, and his worldview might be changing because he is seeing like, hey, I could still be a Mandalorian and not wear a helmet. And then Boba Fett, who doesn't give a fuck, but he is officially a Mandalorian, even though I don't know. And Jango Fett was considered a Mandalorian, even though he didn't wear a helmet or anything like that. And so he's like, well, maybe I don't need to be this like. I figured too. It's like you want to wear the helmet anyway, so people never can find you.
Yeah,
or, it's almost like a superhero costume,
Right.
It's like, so Aunt May doesn't get like hunted down by Dr. Octopus, It's like,
well, we're kind of jumping ahead because the setup before the Mandalorian has to take his helmet off is they got to get this. To me, it reminded me of like a stagecoach.
There's like pirates or something that show up.
Yeah, and if this were an old Western, it would be a stagecoach with like that's carrying dynamite, and you have in a Western, because they were horribly antiquated and not they would have Native Americans chasing the stagecoach and trying to light the dynamite. So it was it had a real Western feel.
And they had like, they're in this like powerful tank and everything, but like they came with this thing to like restrict them was they can't go too fast because if it overheats or something, whatever they're carrying in that thing will blow up.
It's like speed.
Because they, even as they're driving, they see like other vehicles that clearly didn't make it to that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they need to do this. Like, could they just use TIE fighters or something else? It doesn't matter. I don't care. I remember when Solo came out, everybody was criticizing the train scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, why do they need a space train? I'm like, just shut up and enjoy the movie. God.
Because they do.
They do. That's why. Because they're on a planet that only has space trains. All right, get over it. It's a space train planet. Okay, done. Jesus, like, well, it's space. Everyone has spaceships. Why do they need a space train?
Well, they they do set it up. So it's kind of
smart guy there, right?
A speed like element to it. The train, the craft can't go too fast or too slow, and it's a little nerve wracking, and Mando had to fight off like several waves of bandits who kept trying to jump on the craft.
And it's really cool when like he thinks he's wearing his Mandalorian armor.
Yeah,
his shitty Stormtrooper armor. And he gets hit and the stuff just shatters and it hurts him.
Yep.
And it's like, it's cool because it shows that like he's been kind of indestructible this season.
Yeah.
Because he's been like in the first season, he didn't even have this stuff. And now he's like fully decked out. So it was kind of cool because it was like, oh shit, I'm not used to this. I have to get back to like being bare bones and like being able to fight, like being more of a scrapper and not have this protection that I had. So I thought that was a cool element.
Yeah, because when he wears that Mandalorian armor, like he can just like walk into laser battles and like
they're shooting at him.
Yeah, they bounce off. And
those guys would have if he had his Mandalorian armor, those guys would have been all wiped out.
We saw him like block a lightsaber with his Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
So clearly, but anyway, it was kind of a cool scene and like reminiscent of a stagecoach robbery or something like that. And then it kind of led into like one of the weirdest scenes where.
Well, I just say I like when he fights him and he thinks he's done, but then more come and then like they have like the thermal detonator they use. They're trying to blow up the vehicle and he stops it and he throws it back at them. But then another bunch of them come and they all have thermal detonators. I thought that was really fucking funny. And it's like, and it sets up this awesome scene where he's just like, I'm just gonna fight. I don't know. This is bye. And then that's when the true heroes of the episode show up. It's TIE fighters.
It's so weird.
And then all the stormtroopers, and they're taking out the pirates and stuff, or the people the natives on the planet. And I'll get into that in a second because I think what they did was kind of fucked up. All right. So, and then and then that's when Bill Burr's character's like, you didn't think you'd be happy to see these guys, huh?
Right.
And it kind of shows you like the perspective, like when they show up, everyone's cheering them on. It's almost like in the end of New Hope when with the Death Star and everyone's excited. They're all just like people, man. They're just grunts Doesn't matter what army they're fighting for. It kind of makes sense with Bill Burr. But the thing I didn't like about this episode was they purposely made so you would root for the Empire. They made so in the beginning when they're going through the village, you see like humans or humanoids.
Yeah.
Definitely people of like Latino or whatever. Like and they're showing like civilians and everything. But then when they're driving further to getting closer, and that's when they get the pirates or the natives of this planet. All of a sudden now it's aliens. They're not humanoids. They're like skiff guard looking aliens from like Return of the Jedi, and they become not human. And I'm wondering if they did that on purpose so that you would find yourself rooting for the Empire, because the Empire is all humans, and Bill Burr and Mando are humanoids.
Yeah,
Star Wars humanoids, but like they're wiping out these alien characters. I'm wondering if it's like they definitely did that on purpose. Now I think the village should have been filled with not humanoids either. The village should have been filled with those people, those aliens. And I think that would totally make sense. And I don't think it would make a difference. It makes sense. Like this planet is being invaded by the Empire or whatever.
Right.
They're using them for whatever, and they want them off the planet. Get off. This is our land. Get off. And it would make sense that either they would just be people, like in the villages that they drove through.
Yeah. Or
the people in the village would be those aliens. And I mean, I still think even if they did that, I'd still be like, yeah, it's fucked up, but you kind of root for, because you want Mando to live, and I guess you want Bill Burr too, to get to their destination point. But I think they did that in a way to make it easy for you to root for the Empire, and that's kind of fucked up.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
That make you a space racist?
Well, it's weird. Like I think like if you're all into Star Wars or whatever, you're gonna cheer on the heroes and kind of recognize that it's weird to cheer on stormtroopers. I mean, it just felt weird,
It's a cool scene. It's just like it's like almost it's like they're like they show up, they're in the weapons, you're like, yay, and then the music changes too, and it's like, yeah, these are the heroes of the episode. You're like, what? And like Bill Burr even's like, yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? You never thought you'd be happy to see these guys. And they get there and everyone's cheering them on. It's like they finally got the thing there that they needed, because the Empire is not what it was.
Right.
It's not even really the Empire or what the fuck it is. And so they need this stuff that it's like almost they need the stuff so that the Empire can succeed in whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just thought that was an interesting scene. And I just found that dynamic of the whole thing, them being aliens and everything, and I think it's some psychological shit that's kind of fucked up, actually.
No, I would agree. I think some element
predetermined. I don't think that was just a mistake. They purposely did it so that you would view. It's like the orcs in Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's what they kind of look like. I think. Yeah. I noticed, like on the show, like some of these alien characters they sometimes have, they're just like generic throwaway aliens, like right. The village in the last season when like that, and it's like just generic looking aliens, so yeah, they go there, and that's when they want to get the codes. Originally Bill Burr was supposed to do it, but Bill Burr sees a guy that obviously which is like ridiculous. It's almost like too perfect. It's like explaining like why he left the Empire.
Yeah.
And there's this like commanding officer there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to do it. He can't do it. He's like, I can't be seen. If this guy sees me, like, the whole thing will be screwed up. So he's like, he goes there, and then he has to take his helmet off.
Yeah. There's a facial scan.
Which is kind of weird. Like, I mean, if he's not in the system, wouldn't the facial scan be like, I don't recognize this? Like I just want to see your face.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, like,
the robot just wants companion. It just wants to see your face.
I had less problem with that than I did with Mando having a mustache. I just figured that, like, you had to scan your face in, and that way, if anything ever came of it, they would have a record of who was in there at what time,
Right.
And so they do quickly find Mando gets the information just fine, but then someone kind of calls him over, and it turns out it's the commanding officer of that facility, and he had served Miggs had served under him previously, so there's a lot of history there. And Miggs we already know from this episode, Miggs has a very low opinion of his commanding officers in the service.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird setup. Like when you get Mando, he's in the helmet and everything, but you know that quickly some of the chaos that's going to happen is in trying to keep Bill Burr from getting recognized and trying to get the Mandalorian not to like start shooting things right away, trying to get him to kind of like gather information first.
Who was the guy who played the Commandant? I'm trying to find him. That guy's been in tons of stuff.
Yeah, his last name in the show was Hess. What was that guy's name in real life?
He played Joe Chill in Batman Begins.
That's right. Yeah, he did.
And they made a From Hell sequel.
Oh,
or I guess Devil's Reject sequel, and the guy who played like the clown guy died. Scene.
Yep.
So they kind of had this guy come in as the third character, and I've seen this guy in a bunch of stuff. He's good at playing like a scumbag.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Richard Brake, and I don't know if you brought it up, or I don't know if I must have watched something or. That why did he have like an accent? It sounded like he was from West Virginia.
That was me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like,
you want to go get some catfish, Mandalorian?
It's like Sling Blade or something.
Like do some snap hunting. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you gotta do that to defend.
Well, they give the character the last name of Hess.
Yeah.
Which clearly would work well because stormtroopers are kind of like Nazis, and Hess sounds like a Nazi name and everything.
Well, somebody brought up a good point and said that it's almost like he's actually like a former Confederate, like a Confederate.
Yeah,
that's why they almost want like the Southern accent, and like with the Empire being like even like when the Confederacy supposedly ended, there was still like lots of factions that they had to deal with, and like today. That's a different story. We'll save that for our political episode.
Right.
But this guy, I thought the scene was great. It also reminded me of like Inglourious Bastards when like they're supposed to meet with the spy, and there's like they're at a pub, and then all of a sudden just happens to be a commandant that shows up.
Right.
It's you got the drunk stormtrooper people there. And they don't care. They're just drunk having fun. But then you have like the commandant there who actually gives a shit.
Right. And he's kind of looking for clues. And
that kind of played out like that a little bit. Scene. And you find out that guy was like Bill Burr's like commanding officer at some point. Like, and Bill Burr starts talking about like some mission. And
it was Operation Cinder, which was featured in a Star Wars video game.
Yes, but they say that it's featured, and he talks about how like I don't know if the Empire was responsible, basically just killing a bunch of people, like even Imperials or something.
I think it was just like battle mismanagement. It's like if we want that pile of dirt over there, we're going to send all our troops over and get it, and then we captured that hill at great loss to our own side, but we won it. And then the next day they're like, okay, we're leaving now. It's like one of those classic war tropes where it's like, well, what the fuck are we dying for?
Right. And he's just like, it's all for the Empire.
Right.
And he's talking about how like, well, what do you care? You're alive. Like you got to like, what do you care? You're living. And it's such a like, because it's wrong to do that. But there was like, again, there was some other flaw in this episode because all right, so after that, Bill Burr just gets pissed, shoots the guy, kills him, and then they realize they got to shoot everybody else.
Yeah, they got to shoot their way out.
And then that's when he tells DiGiorno Pizza.
He tells Mandalorian.
DiGiorno.
Right.
Mandalorian. He says, don't worry, I didn't see your face. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
That's the scene. He has to basically, so for like a good 5 minutes of the episode, could cut that whole scene when he's talking to Hess, and Hess is like, "What's your name?" And Bill Burr's like, "That's Brown Eyes."
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what to say, and he had his mask off, so he's just like, I think he's like naked there. Like,
Right.
It's weird because you see him as this like.
He's almost stunned, like into silence. Like I don't know.
What am I doing? He's like literally naked, even though he's
Yeah.
wearing clothes, but he probably, his face is out, so he's naked. And he's just like, and this guy, he doesn't know what to do either. He's not usually normally in these situations.
Yep.
And yeah, Bill Burr is funny. Brown eyes. But so he's there while Bill Burr's talking to Hess, and with that guy's thick Appalachian accent.
Right. It totally
Wait,
was.
you mean the Appalachians of Star Wars?
Right.
I think at this point, though, people who like get mad at that kind of stuff, again,
Yeah, it is.
why is there a space train in a Star Wars? You don't need trains. You got ships.
Yeah.
You can have Southern accents too. We got.
He had a really outlandish Southern accent, and clearly in my head, that wasn't meant to suggest that
not like a Lindsey Graham type voice. Like,
no, but it was like they were setting him up to be kind of villainous.
It was a thick draw.
Yeah.
Clearly comes from a region of the Star Wars universe that
right.
eats turtle stew, I guess.
Boiled
peanuts.
I think that was it. It was like we want someone who's like got a Nazi name but a plantation owner's voice, and that's what they created.
The empire will rise again. Well, he does say a line about bringing order, and I felt like that was like the first like kind of allusion to the First Order.
Right.
Well, and it said even like what's his face, who they got a German guy to do it, even though he's not. In the first season?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jeez. What is his name in the first season?
That famous director. They got to play the Imperial guy.
God.
Killing off. Werner Herzog.
Yes, thank you.
He even kind of says, talking about, bringing order back in the galaxy, and that's the thing that Hess goes, people, they want freedom, but, they really don't.
Right.
And you hear villains say this in movies, and people say this. Fortunately, there is a lot of truth to that. A lot of people want like a tough guy.
Yeah, well, we see that today. I mean, that explains Trump's appeal to some people.
Yeah, they won't admit to it either. They won't even like. No, that's literally what you like about him. You like that he's like a jack.
That's the feature, right?
That is like the reason. So that scene's awesome. Mando escape. Well, they eventually, I don't know, I guess they get out.
There's a great scene, and it's they get out of the building, and you have Cara Dune and Fennec Shand laying down cover fire with their sniper rifles, and Slave One swoops in. It reminded me a lot, I don't know why, but like a lot of this episode too reminded me of Aeon Flux, the old cartoons.
Why did they have to even do the tank when they could flew over to the ship?
Some of that was just like,
I guess if they rolled in, they would be accepted as opposed to wandering in, like walking in and be like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, could be. Sure.
I mean, we're gonna have a cool sequence that looked awesome.
Maybe it was altitude, like it can't go above a certain altitude.
Sure, whatever. Even though they were there, Fennec and Cara Dune were there waiting for them, shooting at fucking watching TIE fighters. So, let's not. You know what? Let's not dissect it.
Well, right. And
go ahead.
Well, as they're leaving, it had that, for me, a real Aeon Flux type of feel. They scramble a couple TIE fighters to go after him. Boba Fett drops some sort of seismic charge.
That's from episode 2.
Yep.
Well, he gets them, and then he does that, blows away the ships that they were rooting for earlier. Now they're the enemy.
Yes. And Bill Burr takes a shot at the refinery and essentially
he
blows
uses the
up.
gun that I guess Boba Fett had some Tusken Raider weapons, and one of them is the rifle that they use. It's just like a long distance shot, and that's where Bill Burr literally shoots at the vehicle, in the section that the pirates, or whatever you want to call them, were trying to blow up to begin with. And that ends up creating a chain reaction, which just blows up the entire base, which to me, again, was a little weird.
It was.
Because it's like, you're giving this, okay, you're having this conversation with this Hess guy. He's a bad guy. And you're talking about killing people. But then here goes Bill Burr. They didn't have to do any of this. They could have just flew away.
Right. Yeah.
They already killed a bunch of people anyway. They killed some commanding officer and everything. They would have been in shambles regardless, but he just blew the whole fucking thing up and basically killed all the people that he claimed to supposedly give a shit, because he was like one of them, and was basically who he was upset with that commanding officer, who basically didn't care that they sacrificed like all these stormtroopers and grunts and everything, that, you know, it's just all for the Empire. So,
and he just pops them off anyway.
He just takes his gun and he's like, fuck it, and blows them all up, probably killing like, I don't know, 1,000 stormtroopers in there.
Yeah.
And I found that to be kind of like, as cool as the scene was, I found it to be like a little weird.
It was. I mean, like the messaging was definitely mixed, but at the end of the day, I think the character was just saying like, this empire and all the people in it are just sort of shit, and I'm just gonna put an end to it here. Well, you know, in the small part that I can. It was a weird decision. I'm okay with it. I mean, it made sense. I think that character sees how he is treated as being different than how people in general are treated. You know what I mean?
Well, at the end of the day, he's just like a kind of a scumbag after himself. I mean, he's working with them more now, but I don't know. I thought it was a little weird that like Cara Dune would let him go.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, so they land the slave one, and that's when they're like, he's like, all right, I guess you gotta, you know, send me back to the thing. And she's like, well, you died. Yeah. Kind of cool. She just killed him.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know. I mean, like, this is again
a stormtrooper's imperial symbol into his forehead.
Well, yeah, right. It's like Glorious Bastard.
This is like a weird Glorious Bastard episode.
It was just a weird thing. Like, they just basically, Cara Dune says, like, oh, it's a shame he died back on the planet, and they're kind of like joking around and basically saying like, you're free to go. You disappear off the grid, but they leave him on this like planet that clearly has a big Empire presence. He doesn't know anyone.
I don't know if it has it anymore. That might have just been it.
Well, he has no food, no money, no vehicle. There's clearly pirates and bandits everywhere. Like, maybe they could have dropped him off in a city or something. I don't know. It just seems
another planet.
Yeah.
Like a space dock.
Seems like a weird, and he's like, just like,
you might as well just killed me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you might as well just like, it's like if you took a wild animal into your house,
right,
and then said, I'm going to go free it now because it's kind of gotten older and wild. At that point, you might as well just like kill it, because it's going to get killed in the wild.
Well, like, you might always want to have visited Rome, but if I like dropped you off in Rome tonight with no money and no clothes and just like what you're wearing right now, that'd suck. You know,
no, I'm a survivalist. I would find a way. No, I'd be dead.
Well, it's just like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, they did let him go, and I don't know if I get the feeling you'll see him again or not. Maybe not.
I think he will. I think again, the fact that they brought him back to begin with, and they only brought him back, and he is a name. And if you're gonna hire him, he's definitely a long-term hire. They would have killed him in this episode if they weren't gonna bring him back. So I think he'll definitely return in if he's not in the Mandalorian, he'll definitely be in that Ranger show.
Yes. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
And he could be like the ex-Imperial guy who works with them. I don't know. I don't think it's not the end of him. Okay, so what did they need to do exactly? Why did they go there again?
Right. They needed the Mandalorians needed the coordinates of Moff Gideon's ship. And so that's why they had to spring Miggs, because he was in the Empire. And Miggs found the coordinates to Moff Gideon's ship via that terminal. And now they're going to track down the ship in an attempt to rescue Baby Yoda.
So then we go, the scene shifts now to, well, I guess, yeah, they leave him and they go off, and that's when like Cara Dune goes, well, I wonder what will happen with that character that will probably show up in the show that I might show up in, wink. And then she tweeted beep boop beep or some other.
Right. I identify as an attack helicopter.
What character? What are you talking about? Oh no.
I identify as an at.
Go join me on Parler. Okay, bullshit. Cara Dune's tweets. Why would that weird, horrible show? Why would they promote that?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, wait, here we go. I think I found it. Yeah, that's it. Star Wars, Gina Carano's tweets, the series. That would be an awful show.
Yes.
Definitely problematic. So, yeah, I guess that's it. You know, they got the gang. I thought maybe Bill Burr would just be with them and like kind of be in the last episode, you know, part of the gang. That's why I think it's odd they let him go.
It was clearly
like an asset they could use.
Yeah, because the guy, even Cara Dune was like, that's a nice shot. You know, like they make a huge, big deal about how, wow, your skills are very valuable. Well, be seeing you. You know, it's like
she just showed up and got him. Like she clearly had like the clearance to get him out. The robot that worked in the prison was like,
they didn't care. Yeah,
I don't care. I'm a robot. Go ahead. Take
yeah. Well, they get Moff Gideon's coordinates, and I think you were going to talk. The last scene in this week's episode was a great one.
Oh yeah, it's quick. So you see the lady that's like his assistant, or whatever. Yep. She goes up to Moff Gideon, says like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Got a message, and that's when you see a cool hologram of Mando with his cool voice and everything, and he's like, basically says like, I'm pretty much coming after you, whatever, you know, get the kid. And he uses the Moff Gideon line in the end, which is like, you don't know how much this kid means to me, or whatever that line is, or I don't know, but it's like using his words against him, like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
And it was very cool. And again, kind of a little bit of another Inglourious Bastards thing where like the woman, even though she gets killed, when her face is projected on the screen.
On the movie screen, yeah.
And like, it's like this all powerful, and it's like he comes in on a hologram and he's like big, helmet and everything. He's like more threatening looking.
He's like leaning forward. He almost has like a Batman vibe.
Yeah. It's like, I'm coming for you. And it's like, it's awesome. I mean, it's like really cool. And it reminded me also of like Return of the Jedi, when like you see Luke show up and he kind of uses lines of like Vader and stuff. Like, you will bring the Wookiee to me, those type of lines. So it's kind of like a cool little like, I don't know. I'm curious. I really have no idea what to expect in the next episode. I really have no. This show has been very good at like, what's the word again? Like episode 7. No, Last Jedi tried to use something about like your expectations.
Yeah, subverting your expectations.
Even though it didn't subvert shit, but this show really does subvert my expectations.
It does.
I really don't. I try to predict the next episode, and I'll be honest, I rarely get it right. Like, I knew that this episode there would be some kind of like getting the crew or whatever, but they didn't really do that. It was like something else, and it was kind of interesting, and it was a little weird. It was also like weird, like not to have Grogu at all in it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my son did not want to finish this episode. He didn't care for it, and I don't know. Maybe not having Grogu in it. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like Bill Burr's stand-up. I have no idea.
I could see kids not loving this episode. I mean,
no, it's definitely like the least like fun adventure style. Yeah. It's like,
it's more like a Indiana Jones kind of.
Well, I mean, it deals with like adult themes, talking about like war and like, you know, there's like people were saying like it's like got like Apocalypse Now vibes, too. And like, you know, you get the seedy West Virginian guy who's a admiral.
Well, I don't know what will happen next week. My suspicion is that obviously you'll have a big battle of some sort. You know, I mean, like the Mandalorian will confront Moff Gideon. I'm assuming that they'll have some sort of fight with that spear and the dark saber, because they've gone out of their way to show how Mandalorian's armor can deflect a lightsaber.
Yeah. Do you think do you think Bo-Katan will be in it? Because she's like one. Like, first of all, like, I mean, she was going after him anyway. She was going after Moff Gideon anyway.
Yeah.
I guess, people were like, well, why didn't they just stay together to begin with? Because they all want to. But at that time, Moff Gideon, I mean, Mando's trying to avoid Moff Gideon. He's like, I don't want to see that fucking guy.
Right.
I want to get away from him. I'm not going to him. But she was going in that direction. So I'm assuming there is a possibility that her and her crew are going to show up in some kind of big scene.
That would make sense. The Mandalorians, plural, showing up.
They said the Mandals, like the Mandals will show up.
I think you're going to have a variety of people kind of show up.
I don't think Ahsoka Tano's going to show up, though. I really do believe that, and I could be wrong because I've been wrong in every new episode. I just think that she's not going to be in it. I think
she will, but I don't know. I mean, I'm like you've said. I mean, this is pretty. It's hard
going
to
be a lot going on already. I do think that they can have Bo-Katan. What's that actress name again?
Katie Sackhoff.
I could definitely see her coming back with her helping out the Mando, like when things seem to be lost and all has been. She'll show up and she'll be like, "Hey, Cap."
Yeah,
you're right, or whatever. She flies in.
Well, she's great. Katie Sackhoff, and those characters are great. I agree.
Blue Bomber again.
Well, we're gonna have the resolution of season 2 and kind of a preview of season 3.
I'm wondering if it's gonna be a fucked up ending, though. I'm wondering if it's gonna be like will it have some closure, or are they gonna do some crazy cliffhanger? And I part of me like, I don't. They could do something that leaves it open, but I wouldn't mind if there's some closure. I don't like crazy cliff. Sometimes it's a good cliffhanger, like if they we got a message, and then like Grand Admiral Thrawn turns around,
right?
Or actually, what could be the big cliffhanger could be that baby Grogu, when he was on that rock in the last episode, he did complete his like I don't know. To the canon,
telepathy or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was, Jedi contact shit. And clearly, there's a Jedi out there who must have got his attention. And like again, it could be, we don't know. It could be like something unpredictable.
Yep.
Where it is a Sith character.
Yeah, that's my guess. Is that you will see.
There is a character from the Clone Wars. Now I thought she was killed, but let me pull her up.
Yeah.
And that could be. I could see people losing their shit if she showed up because she has Jedi abilities. She's not technically a Jedi, but she uses the Force.
Yeah. I could see Yoda having successfully called a Sith, and that being the what catapults this season into the next is that now you have to worry about Baby Yoda. Maybe he voluntarily goes with the Sith, or who knows? I mean, I could see that being like a cliffhanger /
Asajj Ventress.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, when they ended with her, she was more like a bounty hunter, and she wasn't really with the Sith anymore.
Oh, okay.
So you don't know, but that could be a cool one.
Yeah.
There's like the possibility of Darth Maul, which supposedly is dead. So
right.
Dead again, not just dead from episode 1 showing up and then he was in Solo, but I mean like in the Rebels cartoon he was killed.
I could see that happening. I agree that there's probably reasons why it shouldn't, but I could see
or
that.
Or it could
happening.
be Luke.
Yeah.
Because there's rumors of them getting Sebastian Stan, who plays
the
Bucky Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
With Bucky to play him. He has like a similar look, and they could do something with his hair or something. You would think it was him.
Yeah.
They could do something like that. I don't know. I think that could be a cliffhanger too, because he did contact somebody.
Yeah. He did.
I hope the episode's a little longer than normal.
Yeah. At least 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, something that's like satisfying that they could like fit a lot without making it seem Like they have to rush things or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's people who think that Mando is gonna get killed and they're gonna replace him with Boba Fett, but like that's stupid. I mean, I
see
don't want
that.
to watch that.
Yeah.
Boba Fett is a totally different type of character, and I would like to know more about like why he's the way he is now.
Right. Sure.
Like why didn't he go after the armor? Like
I could see Boba Fett sticking around for next season, some of next season of The Mandalorian.
Like why is he not such a space dick like he used to be? Like he's
but
always
yeah,
been kind of like he's always been portrayed as like a real murderous scumbag, even like in the comics. Like
right.
in this series, it's like it's different. So I don't know. Maybe it's because it could just be possible because like he sees a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they do have like codes of some kind, and
Yeah.
maybe he does. So he, Mando gave him the armor back, and now he's gonna help him, return his wish. like a genie, like a bounty hunter genie.
Like a make-a-wish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's only like 3-4 days away, and we'll find out, right? I mean,
my God. I don't even know if I can contain myself. This is like definitely got to use the Randy Marsh gif again. that disgusting gif.
For sure.
Like what he say? Like, and then the gif's like, oh no, I think it was like a ghost or something. Oh yeah. The slime scene from the ghost.
Yeah.
That was so disgusting.
Oh,
but yeah, I don't know what to expect. The show is awesome. I guess this was a good like quiet before the storm. Even though a lot happens and there's like big booms, it's still like a quiet before the storm.
It was.
And I think it's a good like turning point. I think you're definitely going to see Mandalorian without his helmet on again.
Oh yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be like a good thing. Now, the one thing I find interesting though this season though is that like all the Mandalorians were gone from the first season. Like there's a third episode when like all the Mandalorians save him.
Yeah.
So he could escape on the ship and fly away from all the bounty hunters that were going after him.
Yeah.
But then in that last episode, like he sees in the armory that the only person remains is the armory. Like either the Mandalorians were killed or they escaped. Something happened to them.
I think some scattered, but a lot were killed because he sees all that armor.
And I'm surprised she never came back at all in any way.
Well, didn't she get killed? Didn't she stay behind to fight off
killed them all.
No, shoot, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she kicked the shit out of them. You got a cool scene.
Yeah.
The fuck out of all of them with her. I don't know.
That's right.
Or something. Space tongs.
Tongs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she kicked the fuck out of it. She took on like 10 stormtroopers or something.
Right.
Did some kung fu magic on them. But like, I'm curious. I'm real like they didn't have her show up. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think again, I don't know what to expect with the show. I think it's like the only thing I have at my expectations is that they'll probably fight Moff Gideon in some form.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Bo-Katan showing up. I think it just makes sense for her to show up.
Yeah, I agree.
And because they already said it, she wants the dark saber and he has it. So
yeah,
I do love in that last episode when he pulls out the dark saber, he's like taunting Grogu, and it did kind of come off like it's funny too because what's his face directed that episode? And I forgot to bring up. He's famous for the Spy Kids movies. Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, he came off like a Spy Kids enemy in that movie.
It was over the top, like not in a terrible way, but it was over the top.
Like, I'm a bad guy. Yeah. I just still love it that they send in the Dark Troopers. That thing just still makes me crack up. I don't know why. Like it's like when you get the toy and it says Dark Troopers, and there's a lot of like stuff that have names, but they never really say those names in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You don't ever hear them say like Walrus Man. They don't say that type of stuff. So it was kind of funny to like hear him say like send in the Dark Troopers. I just like
that's what they're gonna. That's the literal name for them.
Send in the evil soldiers. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited. Yeah. One episode left. I mean, like I said, this has been a kind of a sad year for content, but then again, we have been spoiled over the years.
Yes,
we never get as much content as we have.
Oh no! In a lot of ways, it's kind of cool to be able to catch up on some stuff that you might not have otherwise.
Well, that's why I have all that time to work on my well-curated Bill Burr one.
Yes, that's true.
He'll just focus on him, right? The Grogu's not coming.
Right? No, probably not.
Please, just for the sake of my bank account. And
yeah, I would say that the twist is going to be the Mandalorian breaks into the prison thing, releases Baby Yoda from the little manacles he's in, and then the robe kind of like opens up, and it's been Bill Burr the whole time. He's just on his knees. He's just
like dwarf on golf.
Yeah,
style.
Exactly.
He can get that small, that adorable when he's on his knees. It's really weird. Yeah, cool. That was weird. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, goats.
Right.
For the next episode of Mandalorian and for the next episode of YSGOAT, where we talk about the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after that, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Well, when does
talk about other stuff?
WandaVision come out?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I want to dedicate a whole episode. I just don't.
We'll see.
I mean, I'm excited for it, but this was a bigger deal.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Maybe when WandaVision season 2 happens or something.
Right.
Then we'll be like, yeah, we gotta do it.
Well,
dive in it every single episode.
We have time to think about it. We do have a good one coming up where we talk.
Oh yeah. Well, we have our regular news episode that we do every week. But the other one is we are going to be interviewing.
Yeah.
The director of Uncle Peckerhead.
Right. Which will and that's a movie you told me about. And then I wound up watching it on Amazon
Prime.
Yep, it's available on Amazon Prime. And it was really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you like trauma or any of those type of horror movies, I would say like perhaps Society a little bit, or man, I'm trying to think of like other. What's that movie with like the homeless people? They get like toxic waste and they like
Chud.
No, not Chud. It's called something else. I forgot the name. Well, whatever. I mean, it's like an awesome. And the director is Matthew John Lawrence, and we'll be speaking to him.
Yes.
I'm not sure when we'll air the episode, but we're gonna talk to him on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. Hopefully. And
right. That'll probably.
We haven't done many interview or whatever. You know, you've just been doing Joseph. So yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. I think you guys should definitely check it out. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, we're gonna go from there. All right. On that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.